Alright, testing our stream out. Hopefully everything's good to go. I'll wait for people to maybe file in before I begin an epic Wikipedia gymnastic, marathon of some sort, as I try to show an Ouroboros connection of Nosferatu and Gothic themes. And don't worry about, Shakespeare people, don't worry about me leaving you out, because I do have some connections to this whole thing that we're going to be talking about. And if you've read some of my essays on the Substack, then maybe you're already up to speed where my mind is on some of this. I haven't done an essay on this particular topic, but yeah, it's something I've definitely pestered a few people in my close circle about. The recent Nosferatu movie was the one that sort of kickstarted. In my last stream, actually, we talked about John Dee, because that's where I'm going to kind of use that as a jumping point for a jump pad or whatever for this beginning part of the stream. Is that I mentioned John Dee and Enochian, his crazy angelic Enochian occult language, and how it was sort of briefly flashed in the original Nosferatu movie, like the 1920s one. And I kind of screwed up the stream because I couldn't get image of, I wanted an image of the scene itself, and so I actually haven't pulled up finally for us to kind of just show it, and I'll kind of, go from there essentially. And, as far as like the Gothic aesthetic also goes, right, because I sort of touch on that in these essays where I connected the word God and Goth, and I've got a video coming on about that, so stay tuned for that. And talking about how those words are etymologically connected, God and Goth, and I was just sort of musing on and pontificating on the idea of, is that the reason why the word Goth or Gothic itself sort of has like a interesting spooky awe to it in a sense? There's a little bit of beautiful terror maybe involved within it. I don't know how else to explain it, but I got a few more tries, I guess. But yeah, this aesthetic of Gothicness, I don't have any pictures of Gothicness essentially, right? But Edward Scissorhands looking kind of people, and Gotham City where Batman operates. I think something about this like sublime, like I said, spooky awe, a beautiful terror, is something that those sort of paradoxes or juxtapositions, I think, is what it sort of begs to be described as. So yeah, we'll check to see if how everyone's going in here in just a second. I need to I moved my water over here, so let me grab this real quick. And they're doing it live, folks. Okay. Now, when we are using this Gothic attitude, because that's what I'm going to be kind of connecting it to this Nosferatu thing, okay? So, here we go. Let's begin with this. And so, you can watch the whole original Nosferatu movie in the on YouTube, and it's blacked out because, for copyright reasons, so we'll just leave that here. But when I talked about Nosferatu last time, on my last stream, we talked about the Enochian language and whatnot. Now, Nosferatu is clearly based on Dracula. Dracula is the original, the original source, written by, Englishman, Bram Stoker, right? And so the movie's basically just like a rip off it, and it just kind of transports it to, like in Germany, I forget wherever it is. Maybe, is it in Transylvania? Yeah, I should definitely check that. But regardless, yeah, there's like a couple of minor switches in between Nosferatu and Dracula, right? Like there's no three brides or anything like that, for instance. And for that's like one of our little shout outs here in just a moment. But if I could argue that Nosferatu and Dracula, if we had to put them in a genre, most widely, termed genre for those to kind of be in, maybe not even just horror, but I think also Gothic. You're gonna just say horror. There's something Gothic about those tales, right? There's something Gothic about Dracula and the big giant spooky castle, and the sort of forgotten and decaying aristocracy sort of sense, and crumbling buildings and a lot of fate and destiny kind of stuff kind of going on. So that's what kind of, describes Gothic in a few short words for me anyway, right? For those stories. And where I'm going to be going with all of this is that, yes, so Dracula, Nosferatu, Gothic tales. But it goes deeper than that because, what is Gothic once again, And when we say that, I'm going to be arguing that, there's like a meta-ness to this whole thing and why we call it give it that genre in a sense, and what am I really going to be meaning here? Well, we're going to be going all over the place. We're going to be talking like mythology, history, literature, and trying to do, like I said, a Wikipedia marathon, but you're also doing like hurdles and gymnastics the whole way through because of all this Wikipedia and stuff. And so hopefully I'll be able to string it along. I feel like I still during these streams, like, I've got like a billion tabs open, but I always forget certain things afterwards. I'm like, oh dang, I forgot to mention that. But that's how it goes. So, but I think I'll be able to hit my main argument here with what I mean about the meta-ness of Dracula's Gothicness, okay? So, I got the images pulled up here for you, right? Just to kind of lead off where I left last time. Here's some images from the movie itself, okay? From the original Nosferatu movie. This is not in the new one. This is in the old one. So the new one by Roger Eggers, which we'll get to in a minute as well. Both these movies kind of are gonna. Well, no, this one doesn't quite as much. But anyway, the new one will do it more. But anyway, the old one is gonna have all this occult Enochian language stuff, right? So take note of all the stuff that he's reading. Nosferatu is. Here's another one where he's like peeking over the top of it. Got the Enochian symbols on it, and here is the page for Enochian, right? And so here we go. Boom. I think you can kind of see the. We got little omegas here and upside down square omegas and P's and curvy M's. Just to try to take note, we got 7s or something. This one looks like a pistol, I would say. I don't know. Let's go back, so here where we go. We're going to see some of them. I know people have attested that, that's what's on here. There's like one of the scripts and whatnot. Okay, so here's look some of the symbols down here that looks like them. I don't see our omegas or M's that pointed out. Anything on this line? These is, some of them look just astrological, but I think it's definitely, angelic Enochian. And the director, guy, producer for the movie itself, the one who basically, is kind of in charge of changing a bunch of the stuff from the original to this one, is, he was, kind of a known occultist, essentially, right? And it was, which filled with Enochian magic and hermetic, and alchemical symbols, et cetera, et cetera. And we talked about, how that sort of is involved with John Dee, essentially, right? And his Enochian script. And we talked about him. He's the, infamous court astrologer, magician, mathematician, alchemist for Queen Elizabeth. Now, occult mentions aside, where to take this from now is, that'll be in a minute. That's kind of relevant. So let's bring it to the new one, okay? So in the new Nosferatu by Roger Eggers, he has Nosferatu speak in a, like at the beginning of the movie. In the beginning of the movie, Nosferatu was like kind of narrating or whatever, but he's just like talking really creepy to the girl. And he's talking he's not talking in English, it's subtitled, and the language he's talking in is called Dacian. All right, so here's an article from the archaeologist.org that just kind of he's going to tell you more about Dacian, but this is like attested, like this is confirmed that Roger Eggers had this happen, okay? So Nosferatu in this movie is speaking Dacian, okay? And Dacian is really, really old. Okay, like that. Okay, this is gonna go to like Roman and pre-Roman time kind of stuff. Okay, we're gonna and these people are gonna be related to a bunch of other people, and I may have to like imagine Russian nesting dolls and also Russian nesting dolls made by the same factory with slightly different variations or something too. Like you might have to use some of these concepts as we sort of branch out and zoom back into different groups or whatnot. All right, we'll get that in here in a minute. Okay, but anyway, Nosferatu, like I said. The new movie, he speaks in Dacian, okay? And you can kind of go on here and read all this sort of good stuff, okay? But we'll do that here in a minute. Maybe, I won't read this article, but you can go look this up. This is a good one. But we'll just go Wikipedia diving here, okay? So Dacians, who are the Dacians, okay? We got to make sure we get back down here. So Dacians, and, Wikipedia, once again, grain of sand. We can always confirm our sources elsewhere. Most of these end up being, like, okay when they, I've double-checked a bunch of these, and it seems like on some of these more, like, real big articles, you can kind of, it's still, like, a good baseline for things, don't, use it for all the nuance that you need, and it may not provide that, but I think it's still a good baseline. So anyway, Dacians were an ancient Indo-European inhabitants of the cultural region of Dacia, located in an area near the Carpathian Mountains west of the Black Sea. Okay? Maybe we should pull up a picture of the Black Sea region here because it's going to be relevant. Because that way we know Rome's kind of like way over here. And we're talking about, like this area, right? All this sort of kind of stuff. And yeah, Turkey, Troy is going to, talking about ancient Troy is going to be somewhere over here. I forget exactly here, but somewhere along this coast area right over here is going to be ancient city of Troy, okay? And so we can kind of just see how Troy, does kind of connect. Here's Macedonia where, Alexander the Great's from. Got Hungary and Romania right here, Serbia. So we got like, what we would call like Germany over here where my cursor is over in the black. We can't really see it, because it's over. Oh, here we got a picture of Europe, right? So yeah, here's like Germany right here. And France and Spain are modern countries, okay? So, yeah, this region here's Troy, and, my thing's a little blocking it over here. But anyway, you can kind of mostly see where my cursor is in the little mini mega map. And, so yeah, just kind of keep this region in your mind, right? Oh, here's Ukraine, here's Russia. And so yeah, these Dacian people are going to be located in the area near the Carpathian Mountains west of the Black Sea, that initial area that I showed you. They're often considered a subgroup of the Thracians. Okay, another rabbit hole to go down. This area includes many modern-day present countries of Romania, Moldova, Romania, hence, why Dracula is in Transylvania, right? And parts of Ukraine, eastern Serbia, northern Bulgaria, Slovakia, Hungary, and southern Poland. The Dacians are related to, the Dacians and related Gittae spoke the Dacian language, which is a debated relationship with a neighboring Thracian language and may be a subgroup of it. Dacians were somewhat culturally influenced by neighboring Scythians and by Celtic invaders of the 4th century BC. The Scythian thing is the one that's of note, okay? I got a picture of here. I wonder if we can, maybe if I can zoom out. Yeah, we can't. I don't know if we can kind of see it, but yeah, I'll show you some other pictures here in a second. But the Phrygian cap thing, Phrygian caps is going to be another big motif to kind of keep an eye on here, keep track note of as we go through this, okay? Because once again, we're kind of doing like big revolutions. We're going big circles, okay? We're gonna start somewhere and end up somewhere else. We're going to start somewhere and then go places and then somehow come back to where we started. All right? And remember, Nosferatu is a Gothic story. And here, the newest version of Nosferatu has the people speaking Dacian. Dacians are this ancient group of Indo-Europeans that were hanging around western part of the Black Sea region. Okay? And they're related with, and it's straight up off the bat right here, also mentions the Gittae right off the bat, okay? So the Gittae are another branch of people. So, I guess we'll leave it there for now. But yeah, we're going to talk more about the Gittae in a second, though. But we have, and sometimes they're interchangeable. I forget, sometimes I think it's Herodotus is pretty much interchangeably using Phrygian and Gittae and Dacian and Thracian people all. I forget which writers are doing it, but a lot of them are, kind of mixing and matching those people a lot. And, depending on how we can come up with how they came up with their names perhaps, or, or whether the names that we're using are the ones that are, ascribed to the people that met them, not the people that themselves used, right? We even get a mention of the Phrygians here in etymology. I don't think I'll go into the etymology, although it could be related to, Gutans and other things, and gutones, gite, gutones, geets, gitas. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. We won't go into the etymology of the name yet, even though I do enjoy doing a lot of that. Let me get my water out here. Now, when we scroll down here, remember this picture here in a minute, in case it's not already familiar, in case I already subliminally connected to you. But here is, these Draco dog things that apparently they would hold up, and I don't know if they're like banners, and wind would flow through the banner, so it would kind of show you, and kind of look scary and make noise maybe too, but it would also show you the direction of the wind. So when you got horse archers, right, you need to maybe account, or not even just horse archers, but archers in general, you need to be able to account for which way the wind is blowing. So you got one dude who's making sure he's holding the thing blowing a particular direction, so that way you know to account for the wind speed or whatnot. Lots of mentions of rituals turning into wolves. That's kind of a Dracula mention, right? And he's kind of a wolf master in a sense, right? Once again, still getting ahead of myself, maybe. Let's go down to the. I'll show you a picture of here real quick. A bunch of cool stuff on all these Dacian people, right? So we'll scroll down. I'm gonna get to a particular picture, right? And if you remember those Phrygian caps, and you might know, Phrygian caps are. You can kind of see a little more. I think he does. It kind of looks like Link's cap. Link from the Legend of Zelda series. It's like his little hat, but it's kind of turned backwards. You might know the Phrygian cap was also known as the Freedom Cap, kind of known in like French motifs and French depictions. Here's Zelmoxis. We'll get there in a second. But yeah, here's there we go. We got a Phrygian cap right here. Like like I said, it's like a backwards Link cap in a sense. Got the little tip top up here. And so that's going to be one of our mentions, okay? And so we're showing you that Nosferatu here, new guy, new version, Dacian, related to the Gitae people, related to all these Scythian nomadic horse archer type folk of a sort. We're from the steppe area, or maybe engaged with steppe people, or maybe bumped heads with them too. That's what I was also kind of saying. Now, here's where we get to our little meta connection here, okay? So, some of the history of the Goths and the come from this guy called Jordanes. Jordanes, in his Getica, The Origin and the Deeds of the Goths, also considered Dacians a nation related to the Goths. And if you look at pictures of, let me pull up a painting of Goths, because I've flashed them in videos before, but let's just see if I can if I just type Gothic people history or something. Let's see if I show you the picture I have in mind. Here we go. Right off the bat, who are we gonna get? We're gonna get, if World Encyclopedia kind of has them on horses, boom, you kind of got them on horses, right? People known for maybe being associated with horses in a sense, and there's a weird connection to some of this stuff with the Gitaes and these Gitae, or the Geats, and Geats is, if you don't know, is who Beowulf is, right? He's a Geat, and so it's almost like apparently so the Goths, and like as I said earlier, are called the Gutons, or I think that's the Gutons is what they would have called themselves. I think the Latins or the Romans called them Gutones or Githones. I've gone into I'm dropping the video soon on the etymology of the Goths itself, and so we'll get a little bit of that here. But yeah, once again, just keep note of the horse motif to this whole thing, okay? Now, I've already kind of done the trick in case you didn't notice, okay? So we got Nosferatu, speaking Dacian. Dacian people are related to the Gitae, and some classical historians, like Jordanes. Jordanes is a historian notable for his valuable work on the Germanic tribes. He was a Goth, although not a scholar, devoted himself to writing history. And he wrote The Origins and the Deeds of the Gitae, now commonly referred to as the Getica. But he's essentially going to say, that modern historians now will say that, he was wrong. Because Jordanus is going to say that the Gittae and the Goths are the same people. He's going to say, like, those are the same folks. Now, the Gittae in our timeline are technically appearing, like, a little sooner, like, whether, like, we got to look up the exact area. So let's go to the Gittae thing. I forget. Yeah, see, around 513 BC. Okay, that's when the Gittae are first mentioned. But yeah, that's going to be, and so the Goths, are kind of, when's their first Tacitus mentioned, right? I know the Tacitus is talking about the Gutones or the Goths. They're the same, Gutones are the Goths, it's the same thing. He's talking about them in the first century, right? So, like, what was it, like 30, 40 AD? Something like that. I forget exactly. You can flame me for it. I don't remember off the top of my head. But first century AD, I know that, okay? Is when Tacitus is writing about the Goths, the Gutons, the Gutones, okay? And these Gittae people are, first appearing on the scene 500 years before that, basically, right? So, yeah, modern historians are like, those are not the same people. That's dumb. But look at so here's the region. Area of land most historically associated with the Gittae people. West of the Black Sea. Exact same area where those Scythian, Thracian, Gittae, Dacian people are. And so it's just a big question, like, are those people still hanging around? Is it that far of a stretch to assume that some continuation of some bit of their culture is related to that stuff? I don't know. Once again, modern historians like to say, Jordanus, he's a big dum-dum. He didn't know what he was talking about, because I think there are some... Okay, well, it depends on how far we're going to go with this. But, Jordanus will say, like, I think he's got stuff about how the Gittae or the Goths or whatever are also, like, in Egypt or whatever, doing things in Egypt and Bronze Age times or whatever. But, once again, if we're going to scroll down here, here's Greece. Here's Troy. Troy was a real place. There's some battlefield in Germany. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. It starts with a T. If anyone could show me, but it's like a World War I or World War II size battlefield that's like from the Bronze Age or Copper Age or something. I forget, or maybe even Iron Age, but somewhere in this like misty time period, 2,000 years BC ish to 500 ish BC. And they're like, we have no idea who these people are, or something. They had no idea. Like, there's a huge battle of people here. So there must be a huge reason why these people are expending resources to go fight and kill each other for some reason. And they apparently, as far as I remember, they had never identified who the civilizations were exactly, or what was the conflict even about, and how could so big of a battle go under the radar so hard. So that's maybe we can speculate as much as y'all want before as far as where to take all that stuff, right? But once again, Thracian people. Look at this, Black Sea, and they're from over here, right? I just said Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, yada yada. And here is where the Gittae apparently are from. So, but are there any other clues we can sort of find to maybe make that association, right? But I've already done it, okay? I already said it. I already did it, okay? But we can add some more stuff as it goes on, right? But Dracula and Nosferatu are called a Gothic tale, right? We just use that as an aesthetic adjective, right? It's a Gothic tale. Now in the new one, Nosferatu is speaking Dacian, which are maybe related to the Gittae, and Jordanus is saying the Gittae are also the Goths. So you see, like, the meta connection, the meta reference itself is not only like it's Gothic in the sense of like, a spooky aesthetic Gothic horror, but it's like, no, it's like Gothic. It like literally is harkening back to like the oldest aesthetical sense of what it means to be Gothic or Gittaic or Guttonic or whatever, right? Something about all that stuff, right? So there you go. Nosferatu, especially in the new version, is a super meta reference to the Gothicness itself. I wonder that's why, in a sense that's how Eggers must have probably done that as an artistic choice, because I know that he's pretty on point with his historical references and the like. So now, if we go from there, there's still some more stuff we can kind of connect to this. Tiragite, what is this? Tiragite, that's not good. That's another rabbit hole we should not go down right here, right now. But if we scroll down, don't forget those Phrygian caps. We're gonna go back to the Dracula page here in a second too, but we need to go back to Nosferatu's source in a sense. We get some more Zalmoxis mentions, and Zalmoxis loves to be mentioned by the. I'm just scrolling through. I didn't get what I needed to get. Let's see. Just more. Suggested links to the Goths for our whole mention of Jordanus here. And so as far as, let's get Shakespeare into the scene here, right, for how this is going to be referenced, because if you go watch, I can pull it up here for y'all. If you go watch Esoterica's, and he's a much larger YouTube channel, but he's got a good video, or a good, little primer for what it means to be Gothic. And so, he's got a video that's called The Gothic or something like that. Esoterica. Let me pull it up for y'all. I'm pretty sure y'all, my audience, I know some people watch him. Here we go. So we got here we go. Gothic horror. What is Gothic? And he's kind of talking about the aesthetic and the roots of its genre in itself, maybe in a sense too. Talking about the time period itself, and when this sort of mood of Gothicness is sort of being established. Because the first Gothic ones in late 1700s, published on Christmas Eve, right? I have a whole video, so please go check out my video on that, where I try to push Gothic horror past the Renaissance. I push it back to the Viking period, baby. All right, so go watch my origins of Gothic horror, because I compare it to this old Viking tale that has a lot of the same tropes of spooky undead places and heroine figures and haunted and cursed places and revenant dead. Anyway, but in this video, someone with an actual PhD and maybe more of the stuff than I do, he really, he talks about the people that are interested in establishing the Gothicness and ghosts and spooky stuff, and this ambiance of once again the beautiful dreadfulness of this sort of aesthetic, right? There's something like hauntingly beautiful about Gothic aesthetic, okay? And one person that gets a big mention and is a big inspiration apparently for a lot of these Gothic writers, including Walpole, the original one, and other people, is gonna be our boy Shakespeare, okay? Of course, right? Because what is Shakespeare other than a bunch of spooky ghosts? We got spooky ghosts in Hamlet. We got undead dad Mufasa ghosts in Hamlet. We got witches doing prophecy and spooky spell stuff in Macbeth. We've got what was the other spooky one that I'm thinking of? We got goblins and things and weird stuff going on with the Tempest and whatnot. So, I'm trying to think of the more spooky ones though. What's the other one I always mention? Help me out, my folks. But anyway, you get the sense, right? That Shakespeare is definitely he's definitely able to employ and give us our memes essentially of how we embrace some of the spooky horrorness, right? Double toil and trouble is a thing or a meme that I try to point out a lot, and how that's sort of cemented in our brains about witchcraft and how that appears to us in a sense, right? So y'all can give me some thoughts on that and how Shakespeare's connected. But let's get Shakespeare here again to it as well. Let's go to the Dracula. We're gonna go to Dracula page, right? For a couple different reasons. So here's Dracula, but I'm gonna skip through it any second because we're gonna go to the Brides of Dracula page, right? So there are no Brides of Dracula in Nosferatu, okay? Part that's not really in there, but in the thing. In the novel, the three vampire women are not individually named. Collectively, they're known as sisters, and they're at one point described as the Weird Sisters, right? So, boom, there you go. You get Shakespeare being referenced, in a sense, by Bram Stoker here in the original story that we're talking about here, right? So there you go. We got our Weird Sister mentions, and go watch my video on the word weird is weird, and go watch any sort of weird etymology things, because I connect Shakespeare and the power of language to all these concepts essentially, right? I just did this weird thing about get dead goth or whatever. So this weird sister thing is once again a powerful image in our head about the Morai and the Norns and this idea of like fate being controlled and the feminine archetype and the feminine sister type or whatever triad. Oh, hi there, B-Wax. Oh yeah, so my overall argument is all I was saying is that Nosferatu as a story is a sort of like meta recapitulation of Gothicness itself, because we sort of say that Nosferatu is a Gothic story, right? It's Gothic horror. And I've just been sort of saying like, well, what is like really Gothic coming from? And I was relating it to Roger Eggers, the director of the newest version, had Nosferatu speaking this language called Dacian, okay? Which is not in the original Nosferatu movie. Yeah, so he's, a couple points in this new movie, he's speaking this ancient language called Dacian. They're related to the Thracian people, okay? And they apparently inhabited this area west of the Black Sea. Here's Romania. Obviously, that's where, we got our Transylvania sort of spooky Dracula backdrop, right? But yeah, this region right here. And some people will also say, so the Dacians are definitely related to the Gitte people, okay? At the top we were talking about, so we're on the Dacian, the language that Nosferatu speaking. They're definitely related to here we go, right here. They're related to the Gitte people. And the Gitte also, inhabited essentially this west of the Black Sea area, okay, with the Dacians, okay? Now, another later historian, Jordanus, is going to say that the Dacians, another later historian, Jordanus, is going to say that the Goths and the Gitte are the same people, okay? So the Goths, Jordanus, and he is a Goth, and when we talk about the Goths, now I'm talking about, yes, those people that are associated with, the barbarians that invaded Rome, Alaric the Goth and the like, and all those sort of people. I'm talking about the Goths versus the Huns at the later point as well. I'm talking about those Gothic people, right? Which is, not essentially that all the Goth people built the Gothic cathedrals, but for some reason we are employing these people names as an adjective. Like, how come this people name is doing what it's doing is sort of like where my mind has been a lot of this question. What makes the word Gothic so potent with what it does? Is it? I'm sort of arguing that it's even before this literary tradition, which is not going to pop on till the 1700s, which is even still before Shakespeare, in a sense, in the 1600s. But I'm sort of saying, I got my Viking argument. But anyway, I'm just talking about, these Gothic people, they're associated with like the fall of Rome, and essentially, right, that, they're sort of barbarous people. Yet at the same time, the most majestic buildings in Europe also kind of have like their name as an adjective as well, like Gothic cathedrals. Like, how did that happen essentially? And I talk about how the word Goth is also related to the word God as well, but it's like another tangent. So once again, Nosferatu, speaking Dacian. The Dacians are related to the Gitte. And the Gitte, as some people say, are the Goths. So you see what it is. So like, not only is Nosferatu a Gothic tale because of the spooky horrorness, but it's a Gothic tale because it's talking about this ancient region essentially. It's talking about this ancient Western Black Sea region where all this influence is coming from. So when he's speaking Dacian, he's almost speaking Gittean. He's almost speaking Gothic. You get it? Does that make sense? Am I too off the rails here? See, once again, I've got even more tabs to try to explain more of this influence or whatever, okay? Let me get some water. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if that totally made sense or not. Because, I've just been really interested in the Gothic aesthetics too. And how, even Gothic as a fashion culture, I could even maybe try to argue with some of that, even why they got that. Not do they also like look undead in a sense, right? With the sort of pale, makeup and black, lipstick or eyeshadow or whatever, right? Why is that also the way it is? Like, how is that associated with this stuff? How is that fashion also got the same, claim as like the cathedrals, has the same claim with like end of civilization and also, really cool civilizations too, And so thank you, man. We got some more stuff we can kind of go down. We're going to keep going, explaining and finding more of this relation between the Dracula, Nosferatu, their powers and what they talk about, and also the ancient connections to this area. Okay, so all right, so let's go back to the Count Dracula page here for a minute. And once again, yeah, I also like connecting Shakespeare and this idea of language being associated with all this stuff. Let's go to the Count Dracula page. Okay, so we're just on Count Dracula, right? Boom. So yeah, classic guy, right? Now, in the original story, it says that he studied the black arts at the Academy of Scholomance in the Carpathian Mountains, right? So we're still in the same area. If we go to Scholomance, we're gonna get Scholomance was a fabled school, or Solomonari was a fabled school of black magic in Romania, especially in the region of Transylvania. Folkloric accounts state that the devil himself ran it. The school enrolled about 10 students to become Solomonari. Courses taught included the speech of animals and magic spells. The devil chose one of the graduates to be the weather maker and tasked him with riding a dragon to control the weather. Pretty gnarly, pretty metal. School was underground. Students remained unexposed to sunlight. There's no source here, so I don't know if this is true or not. According to some accounts, the dragon, Samu or Balor, was kept submerged in a mountain lake of Sibiu. Okay. So yeah, just say that's how they connect. So Dracula was he was a wizard sorcerer. He was at wizard sorcerer school for the devil. It's like Hogwarts for the devil. There's a great video on YouTube called and he did it like before anybody else. It's called Occult Origins of Nosferatu, I think, by a guy named Zorses, like horses with a Z. Go watch that one, because that's how I first learned of Enochian being in Nosferatu. So yeah, I highly recommend go checking out his video, because some of the stuff I'm gonna go through, he also kind of covers in a sense. I don't think but he doesn't refer to the Gitte people or the Dacian people. He just kind of talks about Solomonari, I think. But let's keep going down here. So we got the articles on just like the weather and dragon riding aspect of this place. But yeah, we'll go to the origins of the name of this place and where that takes us. So if we go to the origins of the name, we're gonna get that people think it's associated with Solomon or something like that. Solomon was kind of known for controlling demons and that sort of stuff. He's got a little bit of a sorcery vibe to him as well. And let's see, where was I needed to take this? There's a way to get back essentially to the Gitte people and some of their histories. Okay, here we go. So if we scroll down here, there's a couple of different theories essentially of its etymology and where Solomonari or Scholomance, or the evil devil dragon school that Dracula learned at. So let's look at one of these entries here, though. Dacian aesthetics hypothesis. Similarity with Ghetto-Dacian aesthetics, called the Kiste, described by Strabo, was noted by Trajan Hersini, who hypothesized that they were the original Solomonari. So the Kiste are, going to old Roman, old Greek times, classical times, people that kind of sound like they are also dragon riding, or maybe not dragon riding, but flying sort of, magic people. Hersini posited that the Kiste were more properly called the my tongue's gonna break here, Schistai, meaning those who abstain from worldly pleasures, and that the cryptic byname that Strabo gave them was the Capnobatai, which literally means smoke treaders, which sounds like the coolest name, and really meant traveler in the clouds. Traveler in the clouds, so like a flyer, right? Kind of a dragony maybe motif as well. The theory has found strong opponent in Eugene Agrigori, who pronounced that the origins of the Solomonari had been established, and the Dacian cloud travelers must have been the authentic Solomonari. Someone else cautions, Andre, that while enticing, the hypothesis remains only a plausibility. He points that the tradition kept alive from Caesar's time to the 19th century presents credibility issues, since there's a vacuum in the records about it for the 1900-year interim. But yeah, once again, we're talking about this place is from folklore, from Romanian folklore, which is like the same. Oh, look, Romanian folklore. It's like the same area that Romanian folklore. It's like the same area that the Gittay people are operating in, okay? So, yeah, how much Gittay influence is there? Did they completely leave? Should we just assume that, yeah, the Gittay people from 500 BC till... When do they stop getting mentioned? I don't know. Let's go look that up here. Let's see if we get an answer. When did the Gittay enter Roman history? I call the people... Cassio Dio added, I called the people Dacians, the name used by the natives themselves as well as the Romans, though I'm not ignorant that some Greek writers refer to them as Gittay, whether that is the right term or not. Okay. 3rd century guy, Latin historian, apparently says Dacians are as well are a sign of the Gittay. So he's saying Dacians are from the Gittay? Okay. Appian began writing his Roman history. 2nd century, he writes, but going on these rivers and places, they rule some of the Celts over the Rhine and the Gittay over the Danube, whom they call the Dacians. Pliny the Elder, 1st century, refers to the Gittay, by the Romans called Daci. All right. Strabo, let's go to the 1st century. So, 1st century wrote that the term Dacian was used by some people to refer to the western part of the Gittay who lived north of the Danube toward Germania and the sources of the Danube. And the other Gittay lived in the eastern parts toward the Black Sea, both south and north of the Danube. According to him, the Dacians and Gittay spoke the same language, after saying the same about Gittay and Thracians. And people now like to point, I bet Tom Rousel and a lot of those other folk will like to point out Scythian, Indo-European influence on Germany and Scandinavia and whatnot, and a lot of that sort of stuff too. So, maybe this is what this is all referring to, right? I don't know. So Gittay people here real quick. Where was I going to take? Oh yeah, so we were talking about the Kistai. These people mentioned by Strabo, who are kind of living in the same area. Strabo in the same section notes that the Greeks confounded the Mysians with the Gittay or Ghetto-Dacians. Kistay, the flyers, the cloud treaders, smoke treaders sounds like the coolest one. They avoid consuming any living thing, proto-vegetarians, and therefore lived on such foodstuffs as milk and honey, because apparently, because honey requires bee spit, I guess, but for this reason, they're referring to as God-fearing capnobatai, or smoke treading. So yeah, that's how some of that stuff is getting in there. They're also called, this capnobatai, one of the names given to the Mysians of Thrace. Once again, Thrace is also, these Thracian people are also related to these, that's a Roman head, are also related to these Gittay, Dacian people. Once again, the Gittay are attested to be the same people as the Goths by some historians. Is that right or wrong? I don't know. Because they say the Goths are, or Gutones are from in Germania, right? So they're supposed to be a little from northern, but I don't know. All right. Oh, we have some messages I missed. BWAC says, you also got to remember that people love reusing words with perceived power. The Goths being this othered people who are seen as a harbinger of conquest. Look at how the same name Caesar influenced Russia. Yeah, exactly. Tsar, right? But it conjures it, but now it's like, it's also like the highest official title, And there's a lot of Gothic names in Spanish that are, in Spanish, there's a lot of Spanish names that actually have like Gothic origin, apparently. Like, Rodriguez is apparently Roderick, Gothic, quote-unquote Germanic name, whatever Germanic means anymore. There's also a couple other ones that I remember off the top of my head, but Rodriguez is Roderick apparently is a Gothic name. Titus, hey, what's up, man? I just watched Nosferatu for the first time this Halloween. Good timing. Hey, excellent. Yeah, man. Yeah, we're linking up here. I got your John D stuff popping off in here and all that sort of stuff. I mentioned the Enochian stuff at the beginning. I mentioned the original Nosferatu where he reads Enochian language. So this is the original one, and Enochian's relevant to us Shakespeareans because of John Dee and his connection to potential connection to Shakespeare, if not Apocalypsis Historia's unique special connection with Philip Sidney. Right? And also, I'm going to give myself a little shout out here. If you like any of our analysis or want to join in on weekly readings here, we do like a Shakespeare reading. We're kind of going through them, usually like an act a week, and we have pretty in-depth discussions. And you can check that over here on our Patreon and once you pay once, you get a lifetime Discord access. If you become a YouTube member, I'll also send you a lifetime Discord access, so you can kind of talk real time with us. And if you pay the $9 a month for the book club, you can also hang out with us every single week. And yeah, just $9 a month kind of helps us put this stuff together, set aside time to bring some juicy finds for y'all, and yeah, kind of helps us keep the lights on around here. So thanks for all the support, everyone. Super appreciate. Titus, my channel member over here, he joins the book club too, right? So, right here, the John D. Birthday himself. So, back to the stream as we go back to Gothic roots, okay? So yeah, like I said, Nosferatu, Gothic tale. He speaks maybe quote unquote ancient Gittaic, Dacian, Thracian Gothic, and I've got some sources. I got some sources up in here that will be like, like Gothic is like Phoenician stuff or something, and Gothic is like super influenced, and its language itself is super all over like English and whatnot, and I don't really know how to really expound on any of that stuff yet, but yeah, something about Gothic people, what's going on with this name, with these people, and this sort of power. So let's go back to our ancient classical writers. So we're talking about these potential sources for Dracula's evil devil school. And maybe the evil devil school is just a Christianized version of these other, mystic people that were kind of hanging around in the same area that we're talking about, that were flying, kind of like Dracula does, like vampires do. And let's connect it to the dragon stuff too, because maybe riding dragons is also going to be relevant. Now, let me see. One thing about the Gittei, and this is straight off of their page too, is that they're going to worship a dude named Zalmoxis. Zalmoxis is also getting a big shout out from people like Gnostic Informant, because he's connecting Zalmoxis to stuff, Dionysus and Bacchic elements. He thinks that Zalmoxis has that simile root in it, and so Dionysus, being a son of Simile, might be related to this guy. He's kind of also got the double axe thing too, which might be relevant. So yeah, who is Zalmoxis? He is a divinity of the Gittei and the Dacians, a people of the lower Danube, mentioned by Herodotus in his histories, written before 425 BC. He is said to have been called so from the bear's skin, Zalmos, in which he was clothed as soon as he was born. So yeah, maybe instead of simile, it's actually this bear thing. According to Jordanus' Getica, right? The Jordanus is the same guy saying that the Gittei, these people from this earlier 400s, 500 time period, are the same people as the Goths about 500 years later, where we kind of get them on the scene with Tacitus, the Gutones. According to Jordanus' Getica, he was a learned philosopher before whom two other men he existed by the name of Zuta and Decinius. All right? I need to read more of this Jordanus Getica thing to see if there's any more bizarre stuff going on here. Yeah, they have some pretty crazy necromancy stuff in here, so maybe I should read this. So Herodotus writes about Zalmoxis in his histories. The Gittei, quote, "The Gittei are the bravest of the Thracians and the most just." So Herodotus saying is here the Thracians and the Gittei are the same. Thracians, once again, same people hanging around the same area, West Black Sea area. Famous Thracians, by the way, just to kind of help connect some more stuff, this is going to be relevant. Famous Thracians are going to be guys like Spartacus. In case you've ever seen Spartacus, or we had tons of media on Spartacus, right? Is it just because it's an awesome story? I bet there's more than one slave rebellion. Maybe he just gets a little more shout out because he's this one of the most noble people, right? These Thracian people or something. So Spartacus is a Thracian. Who's the other big famous Thracian guy that I can't think of? There's a couple of them that are pretty interesting. Where do they have him in here? Do they have him? Nope. I don't see it. Oh, it's red-haired. claim all Slavs had red hair and likewise described the Scythians as red-haired. And if you remember, those Dacian people, look, we got the Phrygian cap here again. Same deal. Like kind of pointed soft cap. It kind of comes down. It's the same thing as the freedom cap that you might know from, French motifs and the like. So we're let's go back to why did I divert from here again? 330 BC. Here's one of the famous pictures of Alexander the Great. Oh, so this is against these people? That's what this battle is? Oh, so I've heard this too. Okay, so apparently that maybe some of Alexander the Great's and his dad's Philip of Macedon, whatever you want, I don't know how to pronounce it. That some of their cavalry influences might have been because they were interacting with these horse people, right? Remember I showed you that picture earlier of the Goths, and they're known to be on horses for whatever reason, and Tolkien definitely kind of mentions it too in a sense about the Goths and the Geats being horse riders. Kind of got a little bit of a Rohan vibe, and that that the horse interaction, the best horse riders, those Scythian archer horse rider peoples, Thracian archer horse rider people, that Philip of Macedon basically adopts some of their style, or kind of uses them as like shock troops, and it was really effective and whatever. I don't really know a whole lot about that. I just kind of heard that tidbit the other day. But where were we talking about? Thracian horse rider. You can kind of picture this also as kind of looks like the St. George thing. They do a Gnostic Informant did a stream on this motif. It's pretty interesting. Let's see. Why the heck did I leave this? I forget. We were talking about the Kiste, Canaptobipti, these mystic people in the same area. They're talking about we were talking about Zalmoxis for some reason. Oh, okay, yeah, we were reading this. So Herodotus is writing about the Gittae. All right. The Gittae are the bravest of the Thracians and the most just. They believe they are immortal, forever living in this following sense. They think that they do not die, and that the one who dies joins Zalmoxis, a divine being. Some call this same divine being Gebelesius. Every 4 years, they send a messenger to Zalmoxis, who is chosen by chance. They ask him to tell Zalmoxis what they want on that occasion. The mission is performed in the following way. Men stand there for the purpose, holding 3 spears. Others take the one who is sent to Zalmoxis by his hands and feet and fling him in the air onto the spears. If he dies pierced, they think the divinity is going to help them. If he does not die, it is he who is accursed, and they declare that he is a bad person. And, after he has been charged, they send another one. The messenger is told the request while he is still alive. The same Thracians, on other occasions, when he thunders and lightens, shoot with arrows up in the air against the sky and menace the divinity because they think there is no god other than their own. All right, Gittae going pretty hard. Yeah, like a necromancy throwing dudes on spears. Herodotus asserts that Zalmoxis was originally a human being, a slave converted who converted the Thracians to his beliefs. That apparently he someone says he was a slave of Pythagoras and took some of the Eleusinian mystery stuff or whatever, and cooked it all into his own stuff. But here's the relevant part. He taught that neither his guests nor his descendants would ever die, but instead would go to a place where they would live forever in complete happiness. He then dug an underground residence. Don't forget, where was Zalmoxis? Remember, because Zalmoxis, guy that they definitely got some spooky, ghosty, killy stuff associated with him, right? But he also promises everlasting life. He's got a place underground, kind of like, the Scolomonari school, the folklore tradition, that the evil devil dragon school is an inspiration for Dracula learning his evil devil magic, dragon magic. We still haven't even got to the dragon part yet. But yeah, so this Zalmoxis character, this divinity of this ancient Dacian area, that even says he was worshipped by the Dacians, okay? And once again, Nosferatu, new one speaking Dacian. The school said it was underground. This guy goes underground. And then it says when he finished, he disappeared from Thrace, living for 3 years in his underground residence. The Thracians missed him and wept for him being dead. On the 4th year, he came back among them, and thus believed what Zalmoxis had told them. Zalmoxis may have lived much earlier than Pythagoras, and was rumored either to be a divine being or from the country of the Getae. Now, I neither disbelieve nor entirely believe the tale about Zalmoxis and his underground chamber, but I think that he lived many years before Pythagoras. And as to whether there was a man called Zalmoxis or is some deity native to the Getae, let the question be dismissed. So, that's where we just kind of get a mention of some of this Dacian stuff. Gotha? No way. Is that what that is? Guta? Goetta? Yeah, Goetta, right? Huh. Well, that's even more of our, that goes, we can go back to our John D if that's what that is, right? Goez. Yeah, Goetes. Yeah. Juggler, cheat. Sorcerer, wizard, juggler, cheat. Oh, but it didn't copy. That's a T. Goetta. It didn't copy it right. But yeah, it is Goetta. But yeah, right. Goeta. Greek meaning sorcery or witchcraft. So yeah, that's what it's talking about. Yo. Oh. Yeah. Yo. Okay. Wow. I didn't even. We're doing that. We're catching this live. So, is there a connection between the Goetia? Yeah. Look at this thing. We're about to double back on this in a second. Type of European sorcery, referred to as witchcrafts and all this sort of stuff. And this Greek word associated. And this is like a little later, I think, right? But I'm just gonna relate it to this Greek word because we're tracing Solmonari, devil dragon riding magic of Dracula, and the original folklore to the ancient Greek sources. And Strabo apparently mentions a certain Dicinius whom he calls a Goetta, a magician. According to Strabo, King Bista hired Dicinius, who had been in Egypt, to tame his people. As a sign of the people's obedience, they consented to destroy all their wines as ordered by Dicinius. The reform of Dicinius is the interpretation by the 6th century bishop historian Jordanus, who includes the Getae in his history of the Goths as assumed ancestor of the Goths. Yeah, so he says the Getae are the ancestors of the Goths. Jordanus describes how Dicinius taught the Getae philosophy and physics. Even it is more probable that Jordanus interjected his own philosophical into the text, many modern Romanian authors consider that Dicinius was a priest who reformed the religion of the Getae, changing the worship of Zalmoxis into a popular religion and imposing strict religious rules, such as the restriction of wine consumption. Very still got some Dionysus stuff in here too, According to Iamblichus, for instructing the Getae in these things and having written laws for them, Zalmoxis was by them considered as the greatest of the gods. Yeah, some people are already mentioning Dionysus about it down here, but we won't kind of go into there right now. But yeah, Goetta and Dacian. Maybe I'm stretching. Maybe that's not exactly connected, but it's still very interesting. Yeah, this Dacian sorcerer thing is still got a thing here with the Solmonari. Okay. So, Gothic spookiness. Let's see. Doubling back on the evil devil dragon magic. Okay, so yeah, that here. So once again, going underground school, spooky sorcery stuff. Okay. All right. So last thing, I think this is my last point, and if we just remember the Goetia right here, right now, apparently the new Nosferatu, he's got his own like sigil. Okay, and I've got a picture of it here. So this is I think what they use in the movie, or at least it's got. I think this is where it's from. Got some of our Enochian sort of occult script here, and as you see, it's got an Ouroboros, but it's got these two, it's scaled, right? But I wouldn't say that this is like a dragon face. They look more like dogs, right? So dragon dog things, dragon lizard dogs, serpents, right? You see what you're picking up what I'm laying down here? So this is the new Nosferatu's little sigil thingy, right? And we can clearly even see ancient Gothic Dacian sorcerers called Gotas or Goetas, and connecting even Goetia to modern, or not modern, but whatever, medieval, Middle Ages, starting European sorcery. Okay. But what's up with the dog? What's up with the dog serpent thing? Well, here we go. Let's go back to our Gitte main Wikipedia article here, right? So we're just on the Gitte. Bloody. Maybe it's on the Dacian people too. Oh, it might be on the Dacian people. Remember, so the Dacians and the Gitte, some people say that they're ones from the other. Some people say the reverse. Let's go back to the Dacians real quick, and that's what they say Nosferatu speaking anyway. Okay, so we can even stick with that. So he's speaking Dacian. We still got Gitte and Zalmoxis, that the guy they throw spears onto spears for, the one we just talked about, who has the underground chamber. Let's just we'll scroll back up here for a second. And remember, the Dacians, Thracians, and Gitte are all depicted wearing Phrygian caps all the time. Okay. Well, let's go back up here. Where is it? I said y'all need to hold on to this. I said we were going to come back to it. Let's go back up in this Wikipedia article, and boom. You see, dog, but it's also kind of like got this serpentine aspect to it. And this is from a relief from Trajan's column, okay? And like I said, these are these wind things. So yeah, you hold this up in the air, and this is supposed to be like, like I don't know what material it would be out of. Maybe it'd just be banners or whatever. But that way, when the wind passes through the mouth, I think it would also make a sound maybe, but it would pass through the mouth and then lift this end up and show you the direction of where the wind is blowing to account for their archery, which is what all these Thracian, Dacian, Scythian people are known for, is like horse riding archers and the like. So here we get these Dacian people definitely associated with this motif here, this like dragon serpent thing, okay? And they're gonna get like their own entry on it in here, okay? So let me pull that up. I actually think that I actually have that in another browser. Let me pull that up here for a second, because I left it off. Let's see. Where is the they're called like Dracos or Dacos. It sounds like very similar to the word Dacian itself, essentially. Dacian. Okay, yeah, Dacian Draco. Here we go. Okay, so we'll throw this in here. Dacian Draco. Let me throw that over here. So yeah, same thing we just talked about. Here's like the Wikipedia article on it. My bad. Here we go. Dacian Draco. Dacian Draco was a military standard used by troops of the ancient Dacian people, which can be seen in the hands of soldiers of Decebalus, in several scenes depicted in Trajan's column in Rome. This wind instrument has the form of a dragon with an open wolf-like jaws containing several metal tongues. The hollow dragon's head was mounted on a pole with a fabricated tube affixed at the rear. In use, the Draco was held up in the wind or above the head of a horseman, where it filled with the air and gave the impression it was alive while making a shrill sound as the wind passed through the strips of the material. Okay? I go hard on a tangent here. I don't think I'll do that on another day. I don't know if I can connect it to Shakespeare or not, but yeah, this the etymology of this, Draco Latin and Drakon Greek, means serpent or dragon. The root of these words meaning to watch or to guard with a sharp eye. Derivative word drakon, gazing. I'll do that to Drakon and Draco on another day. But yeah, you can see how associated they are with the Dacians themselves. Dacian people, West Black Sea area. Gitte people, West Black Sea area. Where is Nosferatu set once again? Yeah, we're still talking about Transylvania, Romania, just northern Danube, southern Danube area. Gothic area, prime Gothic area, okay? And we're, once again, yeah, this standard of the dragon thing. Oh, that one looks kind of cool. Here's like another one. Pretty horrifying looking. There you go. So you can kind of see where, there you go. Depiction of it where it's actually the standards flowing through the air. And yeah, dragon dog thing. Dragon dog thing. Okay? We're getting, you're getting like your full, context for a lot of these symbols and the like. And how, just honestly, how bizarre all this ancient history stuff goes, Like, I'm just like, was astounded by the connections and continuation of the continuum of all this stuff. So, yeah, there we go. We got, the Dacian Draco standards. So-called Dacian riders, gods, bear Dracos. Oh. Remember that Thracian horse rider guy who kind of looks like Saint George? Yeah, Thracians are big into that. So let's look at this picture here. We see their Phrygian caps here. You can kind of feel like, you can see it's folded over the side right here. See, Phrygian cap. Dacian people wearing Phrygian caps. Were they gonna say it's Goths? Dacian cavalry crossing the Danube, Trajan's column. When's Trajan's column made? Maybe because that'll be my connection to my last point I'll make here. Let's just see the time period of Trajan's column real quick. Okay, so completed in the beginning of the 2nd century. Okay, remember, once again, what did we just see them all wearing? A bunch of Phrygian caps. Okay, all those Gittae, Dacian people that I just showed you, all those, and once again related to the Scythian people as well. Now let's see if I got one more picture for you, because it will be related to it. If I can find, it's gonna be in a different one. I have to pull it up in the browser myself. I forgot to pull it up. Where the heck is it? And yeah, just this idea of, the Phrygian cap, and I don't know if we can really say it's like a wizard hat or not. Maybe that's too much of a stretch. It's got a little bit of that pointedness to it. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me open this up in a link, and boom. Hopefully y'all see that now. Okay, so yeah, here's it's like zoomed in real far. So this is a marble sarcophagus known as the I don't know what that means. Believed to have been crafted shortly after the Battle of Arbitris in 251 Common Era. So this, a little over 100 years after Trajan's column, depicting between Roman soldiers led by Emperor Decius and his sons, Herennius Etrucus, and Gothic warriors led by the chieftain Cniva. What if it means like dog, canine, cynic, canoe. Anyway, so this is good. This is the depiction 100 years later after Trajan's column. And what are these Goths wearing? They're wearing Phrygian caps. Once again, this says the Goths. And the Goths are apparently, by modern historians, will say, like, they are not the Dacians. They are not the Gittae. This is a really cool sarcophagus painting. Yeah, that one's like the most egregious, yeah. Phrygian cap right here. Bamboo. Modern historians will say the Goths and the Gittae are not the same. And yet they're all kind of hanging out in the same area. They look like they're depicted wearing the same stuff. Y'all tell me. I don't know. So, once again, can I say that the Phrygian caps are Gothic now? I don't know if that's a fair connection to it at all or not. Phrygian caps are now just called, we can call them Gothic caps now, right? I think we can make that leap. So, that might have been everything to expound on that I've found regarding this Nosferatu movie, okay? you know, I didn't talk about super any of the cult stuff. I'm just connecting it to this classical history. Maybe, oh yeah, I should sort of connect it to that. I'll say like, yeah, the Gothic classical connections or history or something along those lines. And question of what's going on with these Phrygian people? What's going on with this area as well? You know, like what does the Phrygian cap have anything to do? The Freedom cap have anything to do with Gothic people? Well, you know, the Goths are sort of known for, it's like I feel like they get a Battle of Thermopylae type revision, no, I don't want to say revisionist historian, but, you know, they kind of get like a little bit of that credit of being like, oh, preventing this, you know, opposing Eastern power from coming into the Western part of Europe and preventing and maintaining sovereignty and the like or whatever. I don't know what would be the real answer, but let's see. I forgot where I was going with that. Yeah, but I was gonna pull up a picture of a Phrygian cap real quick. But yeah, what is this Phrygian cap? Oh, yeah, as far as freedom and Phrygian cap sort of stuff. Here, let me pull it up. Boom. Here we go. Phrygian caps that you can kind of see them everywhere, right? They it was like the mascot for the Olympics just a few years ago. Phrygian cap. See what I'm seeing? Phrygian cap. Bada bing, bada boom versus the Goths. And I can go get a picture of the documents too in a minute and do the same thing. Have them next to each other. Do they have their caps here? I think that indentation here is kind of that they had to put it over his head. Let me see. I thought I had another picture of a Phrygian cap, but yeah, they're doing the horse rider deal too. Oh, here's a Dacian Draco stick thing. I swore I had a Phrygian cap looking thing. Well, this is more of the Draco page. Let's go compare these two real quick. We had a relief or sculpture. When's this other one? Oh, so this is still Trajan's column. Nope. Well, we saw it there too, but I thought we had an earlier one too. Yada yada. Votive steel. Stela representing Bendis wearing a Dacian cap. Well, there it is, right? Mithras is often seen with a Phrygian cap as well. We won't tangent into that either, but the motif of this hat: Dacian people, Gattaic people, Scythian people, Phrygian cap, freedom cap. You know, what's going on with those whole connection? I think there's Mithras there, slaying the bull, but he's known for wearing this cap. And this will also go back to Attis as well. Maybe he's wearing a cap too. I'm not really sure if he does. He has more of the crown thing. He looks more like he's wearing like the Statue of Liberty thing. No way, that's not real. What is this? Ancient Greek Phrygian caps. Is this real? Maybe we'll pull up a sketchy link and see if there's... Oh, no. There's something else. Is that what that is? That's not what that is. Is it? Looks too wide brimmed. Now that looks like a wizard hat. Is this anything? What are they... I don't get what this is selling here. What if we just stumbled upon? What are they even trying to sell here? They're going to... A Greek cap best sale. And it's just like, you're going to sell me this, like, rock thing? Like, what is this? No idea. But, yeah. Not sure where to take it from here. French Revolution stuff. Known for Phrygian cap motif. Does that mean Dracula should be in a Phrygian cap? That should have been the thumbnail. Is Nosferatu with a Phrygian cap on? That's maybe I'll change it because I didn't really talk about John Dee a whole lot. I just kind of talked about, other than I bet there is a connection between Goetia and Enochian. Maybe you can find it here? Nope. Doesn't look like it's mentioned in this Enochian article. But I bet other people more knowledgeable than me will know connections between Goetia and Enochian stuff, maybe, or maybe they're completely different. I have no idea. But I think that's all I've got for y'all today, right? So yeah, just major musings on Gothic aesthetic. Wondering how Shakespeare kind of has his own little place in the expansion, or not quite introducing, maybe either. I don't want to say, but he's definitely got some. He's got some. If we had to do a parental test, Jerry Springer style on Gothic genre, I'm pretty sure Shakespeare would be one of the fathers, at least, is sort of my argument here, right? And like I said, Bram Stoker, he has a deliberate weird sister shout out mention, and when he calls the brides that, so I think that there's something to that motif and how it connects to at least everything I just talked about here. I'm not saying Shakespeare is he's Gothic or something, but oh yeah, I wonder if there's any Phrygian cap references or at all in or Phrygia references in Shakespeare stuff. I'm not really sure. But yeah, if y'all enjoyed the stream, make sure you go check out all the links down below. I've got more essays on the stuff on my Substack if you want, if you like to read my little long rambling essays. That's a lot of the stuff I kind of did here. Then yeah, please go support me over there. Come give me a follow. Help me get a wider audience before the end of the year. Also, if y'all have a Twitter, I don't have a Twitter. I don't really ever use that. But if y'all do, because I think he's active on here, everyone, please, I would love to have a conversation with the Higher Side Chats, one of my favorite podcasts of all time. And I think he's got a couple of episodes on Shakespeare. He did Alan Green, so you got a Bacon in there. I'm sorry, you got a John Dee thing in there. You got he has a Baconian on there. I don't think he's ever had an Oxfordian, but I think we need to get the Sidney Pembroke exposure going and kind of push up more group theory, or at least more of like this, or questioning even more of like all the other theories into a cohesive overarching theory, that Chance and I are sort of slowly trying to cobble together, essentially. And so yeah, try to go bombard this guy, go bombard Greg on Twitter and everywhere, and go tell him that you should go check out Apocalypsis Historia. Go give John Dee and Sydney a shout out. Go give group theory a mention too, because I think that's sort of interesting. Go mention your Henslow writers. Go say, there's a larger scene here at play than just Shakespeare in isolation and this one thing. So yeah, go give us go hassle him for me. I super appreciate it. But otherwise, if I got no more other questions, I think we'll probably be hopping off stream here. Yeah, unless everyone wants to discuss any of the ramblings that I just did here, connecting Gothic stuff, ancient sources and motifs and images, and yeah, what's going on with the Phrygian cap? What's going on with the creepy dog Draco standard thing? Those, I don't know, the Draco dog thing is pretty cool. Phrygian cap. Dacian Draco bearer. Yeah, so maybe we need to have a Nosferatu. Yeah, see, he's got bad hair. He's got a really big forehead. Put a Phrygian cap on that bad boy, and probably go up a point or two in the looks department. There we go, Draco Dog's Day. Occult language. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the stream. It looks like no one's got any pressing questions for me, so probably let's get the sigil off the screen. I'll probably be dropping some of this information. I'll put in the in the God is the God of the Goths video that I'm slowly doing, the third part in the origin of the word God and why it relates to the word Gothic, why it relates to the aesthetic of Gothicness itself. And yeah, I think that's just, not that it directly applies to Shakespeare questioning, but I think that understanding, the power of words, as sort of B-Wax mentioned earlier, and knowing why certain words maintain, presence in the vernacular, which ones get picked up. The first time the word God appears in like our historical, frame awareness is in the Gothic Bible, and I just find that super bizarre. Like, and they say that that God and Goth are both maybe stemming potentially from the same word, or a word, or both, have a connected etymology of some sort. And I just find that so weird that the highest word that we have for a spiritual entity, divine being, is the word God. It's kind of like a title and like a name. And the first time it appears is in the Gothic Bible. Like, you see like the weird circularity once again happening. Like, where's the chicken and egg here? I've sort of said, like, it'd be like as if Texans wrote a new Bible or something, and when our new word for God was Tex, it'd be like, what the heck? The Texans made a new word for God named Tex, and they're first appearing in the Texan Bible. Like, would we not want to connect what that means or not? Honestly, even when you first see the word God in the writing, it's Gu and then a thorn symbol. I don't have my runes out, but the thorn symbol is going to be your TH sound, but it can kind of sound like a lispy D, like a instead of d. So even when you first appear, it's Guth basically, gut. Maybe that's how you would pronounce it. But then slowly it gets like an O instead of a U, right? We don't say good today, we say God, or at least that maybe even depending on where you come from, right? It can kind of so subtly change between those vowels at some point, but and kind of blend. But yeah, when it's G-O instead of G-U, so the original, once again, we're talking about the original spelling for the word God. If it becomes G-O, thorn, G-O, basically T-H, like a theta or something, wouldn't it just be phonetically also, God is also, take the D, put a thorn at the end, it'd be like goth. God's goth. They're almost like the same word, even if you kind of just, do one slight letter change, and those letters would have been kind of equivalent at some point in the past anyway. Like, I don't know, I don't know if I'm really conveying the strangeness that I'm sort of seeing here with this whole thing. So, but anyway, I'll be dropping a video on that whole thing very soon, slowly trying to record it and finish recording it and get all that stuff in there. And hopefully got a John Michael Greer update coming up for y'all. We got a chance coming up here with we got some more musings we actually have on maybe the state of art and literature. Then I've kind of talked to my boy Right Conscious. He did a video for kind of when I dropped that weird video, and we kind of talked about some of the stuff involving Shakespeare and the like. So yeah, go watch his video on that sort of stuff. But yeah, we might be doing some poetomachia, maybe rebuttals in a sense. I definitely know Chance has got some stuff to mention. And I think it's particularly interesting and also relevant to the current state of the culture too, right? So we'll throw a hat into the ring, and we'll sort of poetomachia, a streamer machia or whatever, streamer wars going on here, right? So make sure you look out for that. Once again, thanks for all the support. Super appreciate everyone turning up for the stream today, hanging out, watching me ramble about this stuff. If y'all got any more comments or additions, make sure you drop it down below in the comments. Check out all the links if I didn't say that for a fifth time. And